My name is Kira Whitlow, and I'm 31 years old. Competence doesn't get a highlight reel. It's background noise. The rent that auto-drafts on time, the color-coded calendar that means nobody is ever forgotten on their birthday, the groceries that somehow appear before the fridge is empty. I've always liked being that quiet hum in the background. The ballast. Nobody thanks the ballast until the boat starts to tip. That Tuesday night should have been one of my humming evenings. My tiny apartment smelled faintly of roasted garlic and marinara from leftover pasta. A rerun murmured on the TV, volume low. I sat cross-legged at my coffee table, closing out a spreadsheet for work, watching the numbers line up so neatly it almost felt like meditation. The front door opened with a soft click. I didn't look up right away. Lucas had a key, my boyfriend of a year and a half, 29, charming and messy, in the way that made people call him fun and call me responsible. The division never bothered me much. I liked responsible. "Hey," I called, still watching my laptop screen. "How was—" A stack of paper landed on the coffee table with a thud. I blinked, finally looking up. Lucas stood there with his coat half off, cheeks pink from the night air, and a strange, tight look on his face. Between us sat a color-coded grid, printed in bright ink. "My new art project?" I tried to joke. "Our new routine," he said. My stomach did a small, confused dip. "Okay, what am I looking at?" He slid the top page toward me. Every weekday evening, Monday through Friday, had been blocked out with my initials. Little lines ran from my office address to his sister's apartment. Kira, Jenna's, pick up groceries, PT drop-off, meal prep. I stared at it for a long beat, my brain refusing to slot it into anything that made sense. "What is this?" I finally asked, for real. Lucas sat down on the couch like this was a meeting he'd scheduled on my calendar weeks ago. "I mapped out the most efficient route from your office to Jenna's place. If you leave right at 5, you'll miss the worst of traffic. You can get there by 5:45 most days." He sounded almost proud. I looked back at the paper. Every single weeknight. 3 months ago, Lucas's younger sister Jenna had been in a car accident. Broken leg, surgery, a brutal recovery curve. I'd felt sick when I first saw her, pale and exhausted on the couch, crutches leaning against the wall like accusations. From the start, I'd been helping. Weekends mostly. Groceries, heavy lifting, cleaning. I brought her favorite coffee sometimes, those cinnamon rolls she liked, sat with her and watched trash TV so she didn't feel like she was rotting alone in her apartment. But this has every weeknight, I said carefully, blocked off for me. "She needs daily support," Lucas said. "You know that." "Lucas, I work full-time. Her place is 45 minutes from my office on a good day." 40, he corrected automatically. I timed it. I stared at him. That's not the point." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "We talked about you helping more. My mom is stretched thin. I'm doing what I can, but with my certification classes." "We talked about me helping more," I echoed, "which is why I've been going over on weekends." "Weekends aren't enough anymore," he snapped, then softened his tone like he'd heard himself. "She has PT 3 times a week. She can't do basic tasks. She needs someone there." "Someone," I repeated, feeling my pulse pick up. "Not specifically me, every single day." "You're my partner," Lucas said. "She's my sister. That makes her your family, too." The word family landed with a weight I hadn't agreed to carry. I took a slow breath. "Look, I want to help. I really do. But every weeknight after work? That's a huge commitment. I'd have 0 evenings to myself. No time for friends. No time for, I don't know, laundry that isn't at midnight." His jaw tightened. "So your free time matters more than my sister's health?" "That's not what I said. It's what it sounds like." I swallowed back the sting. "Here's what I can do," I said, forcing my voice to stay calm. "I can add 2 weekdays after work, plus the weekends like I've already been doing. That's 4 days a week. That's sustainable for me." 2 weekdays, he repeated, like I'd offered to swing by once a month. "Kira, she's injured. She can't carry her own groceries. She shouldn't be alone that much. Your mom goes. You go. Now I'm going more too. Jenna herself told me weekends were plenty so she doesn't feel like a burden. Did you forget that?" His eyes flashed. "She doesn't know what she needs. She keeps pretending she's fine because she doesn't want to worry anyone." Or, "Hear me out. You're projecting your guilt onto both of us," I said quietly. The temperature in the room dropped about 10 degrees. "Wow," he said. "So now I'm the problem?" I'm trying to take care of my family, and you're analyzing me like I'm some kind of case study. I'm saying I have boundaries, I replied. There's a difference between helping and being conscripted. Boundaries, he scoffed, ugly and humorless. You want a gold star for doing the bare minimum? I felt my hands curl into fists in my lap. I am offering 4 days a week of unpaid labor, I said. That is not bare minimum. You know what? Forget it. He stood abruptly, grabbing his coat. I'll just tell Jenna you can't be bothered. I'll tell my parents my girlfriend thinks helping disabled people is too much work. My stomach lurched. That is absolutely not what I said. It's what you meant. He snatched the papers back up like they'd offended him and stomped toward the door. Lucas, I said, don't twist my words to your family. He didn't answer. The door shut with a final click. For 3 days, he didn't call, didn't text. My messages sat undelivered, unread. The quiet that used to feel peaceful suddenly felt like something was pressing on my chest. Maybe this is it, I thought. Maybe he's really going to end it because I wouldn't volunteer my life away. On the third night, my phone buzzed while I was brushing my teeth. My friend Nadia had sent a link. Nadia, is this about you? The Reddit logo blinked up at me. My throat went dry. I wiped my hands, sat on the edge of the tub, and clicked. Aida for expecting my girlfriend to help my disabled sister? I started reading. Paragraph by paragraph, my life appeared on the screen. Distorted. In his version, I barely helped. I cared more about zoning out after work and watching TV than a struggling disabled woman. I refused to lift a finger more than 1 day a week. He described himself as this exhausted, overburdened hero begging his cold, selfish girlfriend to step up. The comments were brutal. Leave her. She's showing you who she is. If she won't help your family now, imagine kids. Each sentence felt like a slap from a stranger who didn't know me, didn't care to. Heat crawled up my neck, my eyes burned. Then I saw a comment from a username that made my breath catch. Jenna Throwaway. I never asked for daily help. Weekends have been plenty, and I told my sister's boyfriend that. I specifically said I didn't want to burden anyone more than that. This is what his guilt demands, not what I need. Another comment a few minutes later. Also, he's been kind. He brings me pastries I like without me asking and stays to keep me company. This post isn't fair to him. I stared at the screen. Jenna knew, she saw through him, and she was defending me. My hands stopped shaking. Some cold, clear part of me woke up. Screenshot, screenshot, screenshot. Within an hour, the entire post vanished. Deleted. The comments, the story, Jenna's call-out, gone from public view. But not from my camera roll. My phone buzzed again. Lucas, we need to talk about that Reddit post. I looked at his message, the saved screenshots, the color-coded schedule still folded on my counter. For the first time since Jenna's accident, I wasn't just humming in the background. I was furious. Yeah, I muttered to myself, opening a new text window. We really do. Lucas didn't wait long. The next evening, right as I was debating whether leftover pasta could be stretched into creative gnocchi if I cut it small enough, my phone lit up with his name. I stared at it ring through once, twice. On the third attempt, I answered. Hey, I said, keeping my voice neutral. We need to talk about the Reddit post, he said. No hello. No, how are you? Just straight into it. I walked to the window, staring down at the streetlights pooling on the pavement. You mean the one where you told 100,000 strangers I'm a heartless monster while leaving out half the facts? Silence crackled over the line. You saw it, he said finally. Hard not to, I replied. Nadia sent it to me. You use my age, our exact situation. You might as well have tagged me. You're overreacting, he said. I was just venting. People post about their relationships online all the time. Vent? I repeated. Lucas, you told the entire internet I refuse to help your disabled sister when I've been at her apartment almost every weekend for months. You erased that part. He exhaled sharply. I didn't erase it. I summarized. I said you helped sometimes. No, I said. You said I barely help and refuse to lift a finger. There's a difference. You're getting hung up on wording. And Jenna commented, I cut in. That shut him up. I saw what she wrote, I continued, about how she never asked for daily help, how weekends are enough, how this is your guilt, not her need. His tone hardened. She doesn't understand. I think she understands what she needs better than anyone, I said. It's her body, her pain, her recovery. This isn't about her, he snapped. It's about us. I laughed once, surprised by the sound. Really? Because from where I'm standing, this is about you weaponizing her injury for sympathy points. He sucked in a breath. For a second, I thought he might apologize, own even a sliver of it. Instead, he said, Can we talk in person? You're clearly emotional. and this isn't productive over the phone. There it was, the subtle pat on the head condescension that made everything inside me go still. I'm busy, I said, but we can clarify one thing right now. Don't ever lie about me online again. I deleted it, he snapped. What more do you want? Accountability would be nice, I said. An apology would be wild. Kira, he said, and there was that wounded tone again, the one that implied I'd done this to him. You're making this bigger than it needs to be. I was under stress. Stress doesn't force your fingers to type lies, I said quietly. You chose that. He went quiet. You know what? When you're ready to be reasonable, call me. The line went dead. I stared at my reflection in the black TV screen. The tired eyes, the tight line of my mouth. Reasonable, I thought, has always meant compliant with him. Easy. Bendable. Someone who would see a color-coded schedule and say thank you for including me. My phone rang again barely 10 minutes later. A different number this time. I almost didn't pick up. Hello? Hi, sweetheart, a warm, overly bright voice said. Lucas's mother. It's Marlene. My stomach clenched. Hi, Marlene, I said cautiously. I just wanted to call and say how grateful we are, she said in that syrupy tone reserved for church potlucks and fundraising calls. Lucas mentioned you'd be taking over some of his weekday visits to Jenna so he can focus on his certification program. That is just so generous of you. I closed my eyes. He said what? That you'd be going over after work Monday through Thursday, she said. Sometimes Friday too, if PT runs long. Honestly, honey, that's such a blessing. We were all so worried about burning out. There was a roaring in my ears. The printed schedule flashed in my mind. I think there's been a misunderstanding, I said carefully. Oh? Her cheerfulness dimmed by a few watts. I never agreed to that schedule, I said. In fact, I explicitly told Lucas I could do 2 weekdays plus weekends. He told me that wasn't enough. We argued. We actually broke up over it. Silence. Marlene, I asked. You broke up with him over this? She said, her voice small. No, I thought. He broke us over his refusal to hear no. Out loud, I said, he posted about me on Reddit and lied about what I'd agreed to. He also didn't tell you that Jenna herself said weekends were fine, that she doesn't want anyone's life blown up over her recovery. Another small silence. My other daughter said that? She asked quietly. That weekends are enough? Yes, I said. She even commented on the Reddit post defending me. You can ask her. I need to call you back, Marlene said, her voice wobbling. I'm sorry, honey. This is just a lot. It is, I agreed. We hung up. I barely had time to set my phone down before there was a pounding at my door. For a half second, I thought it might be my upstairs neighbor. Then the pounding came again, more insistent. Kira, open up. Lucas. I opened the door just far enough to see him. His hair was a mess, eyes wild, jaw clenched. The last traces of charming had peeled off. This was the raw, angry version he never showed in public. You called my mom, he accused, brushing past me into the apartment without waiting for an invitation. You lied to your mom, I corrected, closing the door. I clarified. He spun to face me. You made me look like a liar in front of my family. You are a liar, I said, voice shaking but steady. You volunteered my time without my consent, told your parents I'd already agreed, and painted me as selfish when I pushed back. That's lying. You're twisting this. You posted about me online, I said. You told your mom I'd be at Jenna's almost every night. Jenna herself said she doesn't need that. At what point does your story start lining up with reality, Lucas? His eyes glistened with something dark. If you'd just gone along with the plan, he said, none of this would be happening. My mom is freaking out. My sister's confused. And you've turned everyone against me. That's the thing about the truth, I said softly. It doesn't require me to turn anyone. It just has to be seen. His mouth curled. Fine. If you can't do this, then maybe we're not compatible. A week ago, that sentence would have dropped me to my knees. Now the only thing I felt was relief threaded through the hurt. Maybe we're not, I agreed. His face flickered. He hadn't expected me to say it. Don't come crawling back when you realize what you threw away, he said, grabbing his coat. I'm not the one who just framed mutual respect as a negotiation tactic, I replied. He didn't answer. The door slammed again. This time it sounded like something breaking that needed to break. Hours later, as I sat on the couch, staring at a show I wasn't really watching, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. For the third time that day, I answered cautiously. Hello? Hey, Kira, it's Jenna. I straightened. Oh, hi. Are you okay? I'm trying to be, she said, letting out a breath that sounded more like a sigh. Can you come over tomorrow? There's something I need to show you, about Lucas, about all of this. Is everything okay? I asked. Not really, she said, but I think you deserve to know what's going on, and I need someone to back me up. Something cold settled into my gut. Yeah, I said, I'll be there. Jenna's apartment smelled faintly of vanilla and whatever clean linen candle she favored. The place looked more lived in than the last time I'd been there. Blankets draped over the back of the couch, a pair of crutches leaning against the wall like forgotten props. She was on the sofa, leg propped up on cushions, hair pulled into a messy bun. When she saw me, her shoulders dropped with visible relief. Hey, she said, thanks for coming. Of course, I said, sitting in the armchair across from her. You sounded stressed. That's one word for it, she muttered, unlocking her phone. Okay, I'm just going to show you this before I chicken out. She pulled up her banking app first, Venmo. Rows of transactions, all from the same contact, Mom. $200 a week, Jenna said, scrolling. For the last 3 months, all labeled gas and meals, Jenna. I frowned. I thought your mom said she was just buying you extra groceries sometimes. She is, Jenna said. Personally, but this? She tapped the screen. This is what she's been sending Lucas for taking care of me. My mind tried to do the math and failed because another detail was already rising, nauseating. How often has he actually been here? I asked. Jenna let out a humorless laugh and switched apps, opening her Ring doorbell history. 8 times, she said, in 3 months. Here are the timestamps. She handed me the phone. There it was, 8 entries. Short clips. The longest visit was 40 minutes. Most hovered around 20. Some were less than 15. Your parents think he's here multiple times a week, I said slowly. He told them that. I know, she said. And when I told them you've been here every weekend, they thought I was confused or mixing you two up. My chest hurt. Why? Because Lucas told them you cancel all the time, she said, opening a text thread with their mother. Screenshot after screenshot of Lucas insisting he was covering for me when I allegedly bailed. He said you were unreliable, that you needed time to yourself after work, and he understood, so he picked up the slack. The world tilted for a second. So he volunteered me to them on paper, I said slowly, while trashing me behind my back and barely showing up himself. And getting paid, Jenna added quietly. $200 a week from my parents, plus there's more. She switched apps again. Back to Venmo. This time, the names were friends, not family. Small amounts. $20, $50, $75. All with notes like, for caregiving. Hang in there. You're such a good brother. He's been posting on his main social media about how hard it is being my caregiver, Jenna said, staring at her hands. Long posts about burnout, how exhausted he is, how he basically lives here now. People feel bad and send money. I did quick mental math. That's at least $3,000 total, probably more. She nodded. Meanwhile, I specifically told him I didn't want anyone here every day. I didn't want my life turned into a tragedy porn fundraiser. We sat in silence for a moment. The hum of her fridge was suddenly very loud. Why are you telling me? I asked quietly. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful, but this is going to blow up your family. Because he's trying to make you the villain so he can keep doing this, Jenna said. And because I'm done letting him use my accident to scam people. She took a shaky breath. Family dinner is in 3 days. He doesn't know I know about the money. I want to tell them, all of it. But I need someone there to back me up before he starts spinning. You know he's going to lose it, I said. I know, she replied, but this has to stop. I looked down at the phone in her hand, the digital trail of lies and dollars and stories. I thought about the Reddit post, the schedule, the way he'd said if you'd just gone along. My therapist would probably tell me this wasn't my responsibility. But looking at Jenna's face, tired, determined, scared, I knew what I was going to do. I'll be there, I said. If I'm already the villain in his story, I might as well tell the truth in mine. A tiny, exhausted smile tugged at her mouth. Thank you. Somewhere, deep in my chest, a small voice whispered that this wouldn't just be about Lucas's parents. This was going to be the moment everyone saw who he really was. And who I was willing to be when I finally stopped humming quietly in the background. The 3 days leading up to the dinner felt like waiting for a storm to break. Sky too quiet, air too still, every instinct whispering, brace yourself. Jenna and I texted back and forth, mostly logistics. What time to arrive, how to present the evidence, how to keep things from escalating into a screaming match before the truth even landed. Meanwhile, Lucas was silent. No calls, no texts, not even one of his usual guilt-laced, hope you're okay messages, which meant only one thing. He thought he was still in control of this. He had no idea a match was already pressed against the fuse. Lucas's parents lived in a tidy two-story home in a quiet cul-de-sac, the kind of place where neighbors wave from driveways and porch lights glow warm in the early evening. I parked across the street, took a breath, and texted Jenna. Here, you ready? A moment later, not even a little. Come in anyway. I crossed the street, smoothing my sweater, trying not to feel like I was walking into a courtroom. Lucas opened the door before I even knocked. He wore a practiced expression, surprised but polite, like seeing me was a mildly inconvenient coincidence. Oh, he said, hand braced on the doorframe. You came. Jenna invited me, I replied. His jaw flexed almost imperceptibly. Right, well, come in. Inside, the air felt thick, like everyone already sensed something was brewing but didn't know what. His mom hovered near the kitchen doorway, wringing her hands. His dad sat stiffly on the couch, scrolling through something on his phone without really looking at it. Jenna was in the dining room, leg propped on a chair, face pale but determined. We all sat down around the table. The tension could have been cut with the dullest butter knife in the drawer. Lucas cleared his throat, adopting the solemn, put-upon tone I recognized too well, the good son carrying too much performance. So, he began, I think we should clear the air about the situation with helping Jenna. His mom nodded tightly. Yes, things have been confusing. Confusing because you lied, I thought. Well, Lucas said, shooting me a sideways glance, I've been doing my best to coordinate care, but it's hard when I can't rely on Kira. The room went still. Jenna straightened. Painfully, I could tell, but her voice was steady. Actually, she said, I want to start. Lucas's smile froze mid-performance. Sure, honey, their mom said gently. Go ahead. Jenna unlocked her phone and pulled up the first piece of evidence. Mom, Dad, for the last 3 months, you've been sending Lucas $200 a week for gas and meal reimbursement, right? Her dad frowned. Yes, we know caring for you is time-consuming. And how many times do you think he's actually been here? Jenna asked. Her mom gave a fond, tired smile. Multiple times a week. He told us how exhausting it's been. Jenna turned her phone around, tapping the ring footage list. 8 times, she said, total, in 3 months. The color drained from her mother's face. That can't be right, she whispered. Lucas jumped in immediately. The camera must have glitched. Oh, it gets better, Jenna said, and for a moment her voice sounded older, like someone who'd lived through 3 months of betrayal she didn't ask for. She opened the first clip, Lucas entering, sitting on his phone, leaving 20 minutes later. Clip after clip, date after date. Her dad leaned forward, elbows on the table, staring at the screen like he was trying to rewrite what he saw. That's impossible, Lucas muttered, but fear flickered behind his eyes. Jenna didn't give him time to regroup. She opened her messages with their parents. These are the texts where you told Mom and Dad you were covering for Kira because she kept canceling last minute. Meanwhile, Kira has been here every weekend, and you knew that. She looked at me then, just briefly, and I saw gratitude and guilt tangled together. Their mother's face crumpled. You told us she was unreliable, she said slowly. You said she barely showed up. Mom, you're taking this out of context, Lucas sputtered. Context, Jenna said sharply. How about this context? She pulled up Venmo, page after page of payments from friends. Explain why your friends were sending you money for caregiving when you were barely here, she said. Explain the social media posts about burnout and living at my apartment. Explain why you asked people for financial support for work you weren't doing. Her father's voice came out low and dangerous. You told us you were going to Jenna's 4 or 5 times a week. Lucas swallowed. I tried, but Kira kept Stop blaming her, Jenna snapped. This isn't her fault. He turned red. Then whose fault is it, yours? Jenna's eyes flashed. You exploited my accident. A stunned silence fell across the table. You could have heard a fork drop. Jenna's voice cracked a little. I told you I didn't need daily help. I told you weekends were plenty. I didn't want to be a burden. And you used that to make money. From Mom and Dad. From your friends. From strangers online. Lucas pointed at me suddenly, desperate. This is her. She put you up to this. What? I blinked. Lucas, I didn't even know about any of this until Jenna showed me yesterday. Jenna nodded quickly. I asked her to come. I asked her to help me tell the truth. Their mother looked heartbroken. Why? Why would you lie to us, Lucas? He stood up, hands shaking. I needed the money, okay? My rent went up. Work has been awful. I didn't know what else to do. So you stole from us? His dad said, voice icy. $200 a week, for 12 weeks, $2,400. Lucas's eyes darted between them. It wasn't stealing. I was going to pay it back, eventually. By forcing Kira to do the actual caregiving while you collected the money, Jenna said, that's not paying it back. That's manipulation. Lucas's face twisted. I can't believe this. My own family turning on me because of a few dollars and some camera glitch. This isn't a glitch, his mom whispered, pressing a hand to her mouth. This is betrayal. We trusted you, his dad said. We believed every word you said. We defended you. Lucas scoffed bitterly. Of course you'd take her side, he said, gesturing at Jenna. She's always been the favorite. Enough, his father snapped, louder than I'd ever heard him. You will pay us back, every cent, $300 per month until it's done. I don't have it, Lucas yelled. Then get it, his father said, and you will message every friend who sent you money and tell them the truth. That's humiliating, Lucas hissed. You humiliated yourself, his dad fired back. Now take responsibility. Lucas whirled toward me like a cornered animal. This is all your fault. I held his gaze. No, Lucas. I didn't make you lie. I didn't make you scam people. I didn't make you post on Reddit. You did all of that yourself. He stared at me, chest rising and falling rapidly. Then he grabbed his coat, snatched his keys, and spat, I'm done with all of you. He stormed toward the door. As he yanked it open, his father said without even looking up, You still owe us $2,400. The door slammed hard enough to shake the picture frame behind him. Silence settled over the table like ash. Jenna's mom finally spoke, voice trembling. Kira, honey, I'm so sorry you got dragged into this. It's okay, I said softly. No, she insisted. It's not. We believed him over you. We thought... It's hard to imagine your son lying like that, I said, especially about something so big. Her eyes welled up. We should have listened to Jenna. Jenna wiped her cheek. I should have spoken up sooner. I just didn't want to believe it. Eventually, we ate dinner. Awkward, quiet, but no longer hostile. They asked about my job, my hobbies, my week. Maybe a little too kindly, like they were trying to make up for the harm. When it was time to leave, Jenna walked me out. Thank you, she said, for backing me up, for coming, for everything. You didn't deserve any of this, I replied, and I'm glad you told them. She nodded, swallowing thickly. Are you okay? I know you cared about him. I hesitated. Then I said the truest thing I'd felt in months. I cared about who I thought he was. Jenna's eyes softened. Yeah, she murmured. I get that. As I drove home, I expected to feel some sense of victory. Instead, all I felt was hollow. Not the kind of hollow grief carves out, but the hollow left behind when illusions finally collapse and the truth steps into the light. Sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. Sometimes it just leaves you standing in a quiet apartment, realizing the person you loved was a stranger wearing familiar hands. For 48 hours after the dinner, the world went eerily quiet. No texts from Lucas, no calls, no cryptic emojis sent at 2 a.m. with some vague apology attached. For a moment, I let myself hope the storm had passed, that maybe, just maybe, his silence meant surrender. I should have known better. The storm wasn't over. It was gathering strength. The first hit landed on Wednesday morning. I was pouring coffee at work, half listening to coworkers gripe about the new budget software, when my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Check your company reviews, now. It was from Nadia. Confused, I clicked the link she sent. I nearly dropped my mug. A brand new review had been posted on our company's public profile. Unprofessional and unreliable employee named Kira. When an urgent issue arose, she didn't show up. She ignored calls. She was rude to a disabled client and made her uncomfortable. Avoid working with her if possible. My stomach plummeted. It read like a legal liability dressed as a Yelp review. Panic clawed up my throat. I felt heat blooming under my skin. My hands trembled, just enough that the coffee sloshed dangerously close to the rim. This was him. Of course this was him. I didn't wait. I went straight to my manager's office. Hey, I said, voice tighter than I wanted. Can I talk to you about something? He looked up from his monitor, brow furrowing. Everything okay? I held out my phone. He read the review slowly, his face shifting from confusion to irritation to something sharper. Kira, he said finally, tell me this is a joke. I wish, I said. This is my ex-boyfriend. We broke up last week. Everything's been messy. He nodded once. Sit. Start from the beginning. So I did. Not every detail. God forbid I trauma dump at work. But enough. The caregiving lies, the money, the Reddit post, the dinner explosion, the blow-up. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he let out a long exhale. Well, he said, that was more dramatic than anything happening in this office. A humorless laugh escaped me. You're not wrong. He leaned forward, hands clasped. We'll get the review removed. HR will document everything. Just send me whatever screenshots you have. I have a lot, I said. Good, bring them to HR today. He paused. And Kira? Yes? You're not in trouble. You did nothing wrong. People really do this kind of thing sometimes. A weight I didn't realize I was carrying loosened slightly. That afternoon, I emailed HR every screenshot Jenna had shown me, plus the Reddit comment, the deleted post, Lucas's angry texts, everything. They responded within 20 minutes. Thank you. We're aware of the situation. Please document any further harassment. We are prepared to escalate if needed. I felt protected. Not entirely safe, but buffered. Then the second hit came. Later that evening, I walked down to my apartment parking lot and froze. A long, jagged key mark ran the length of my car door. Not deep enough to need a new panel, deep enough to scream message received. There were no cameras in the lot, no witnesses, no way to prove anything. But I knew. Of course I knew. I took photos, filed a report with my building, told myself it didn't matter, that insurance would cover it. But it did matter. It mattered that someone I once loved was unraveling in ways that left scars on anything he touched. The third hit was somehow worse. The next morning, I woke up to a buzzing phone, over 20 notifications from a group chat I'd never seen before. The name, Lucas's Friends. I opened it confused. Dozens of messages filled the screen. Wow, I can't believe how you treated him. Family should come first. He did everything for you. He said you were manipulative, but damn, I didn't think it was this bad. You abandoned a disabled woman? Girl, you're a monster. My ears rang. My hands went cold. He had added me to a chat with his entire friend group just to orchestrate a digital public stoning. I read each message, feeling the words bruising something deep inside me. My throat felt tight. My chest ached. But then, a new message popped up. From Jenna. This is Jenna. I'm Lucas's sister. Everything he told you is a lie. I have ring footage, Venmo screenshots, and proof he barely visited me. Kira has helped me more than any of you. If you want the truth, message me privately. If not, stay out of it. Then his mom joined. Please remove Kira from this chat. This behavior is unacceptable. One by one, the chat quieted. Then, you have been removed from the group. I exhaled shakily, sagging onto my bed. Jenna, his mother, his father. They were trying to protect me. Because he clearly wasn't finished. The fourth hit came the next morning. A knock on my apartment door. Sharp. Official. When I opened it, a police officer stood there, expression already tired. Are you Kira Whitlow? Yes. We received a report that you stole belongings belonging to your ex-partner. For a heartbeat, I thought the floor might tilt. I what? No, absolutely not. The officer sighed. Do you have proof he collected his things? Yes, I said, already pulling out my phone. He picked them up 2 months ago. Here's the text where he confirmed he got everything. The officer read the time-stamped messages, then the threatening messages, then Jenna's text thanking me for helping. He raised an eyebrow. Ma'am, do you want to press charges for filing a false report? I hesitated. Would it stop him? Probably not, the officer admitted, reading my expression, but it'll be on record. I swallowed. Yes, I said, I want to file. He filled out the paperwork, left, and for the first time, the apartment felt too quiet. But the harassment stopped. Not all at once, not dramatically. It just tapered off, like he'd finally run out of ways to lash out, or people to blame. The surprising part wasn't the silence. It was what came after. Jenna recovered fast, off crutches, driving, even got a new job with better hours. Her parents started texting me occasionally. Her mom sent me recipes. Her dad invited me to his fantasy football league. Jenna and I grabbed coffee sometimes. Strictly platonic, just two survivors untangling themselves from the same tornado. But Lucas, his world burned. I heard it in pieces, always secondhand. He got written up at work for missing deadlines. He blamed caregiver burnout. His supervisor grew suspicious when his story didn't line up. A physical therapist mentioned running into him at a bar. During hours he claimed to be with Jenna. HR got involved. He cracked. He got fired. Unemployment denied, rent unpaid, friend group fractured. His parents let him move back in under one condition. He paid back the $2,400. He'd only paid back $600 so far, and he kept insisting he was the victim. Some people learn. He didn't. As for me, I finally breathed. Work felt steady again. Friends felt close. My therapist helped me see patterns I'd been ignoring. I picked up old hobbies. Guitar, cooking, jogging along the river. And eventually, slowly, I met someone new. Grounded, kind, patient. The kind of man who asks, Do you have the emotional capacity to talk tonight instead of dumping his feelings into my lap? We're taking it slow. Very slow. This whole thing taught me something I should have learned sooner. Some people would rather set fire to their own lives than say, I was wrong. Some people will volunteer you for responsibilities they never intended to shoulder just so they can play the martyr. Some people don't love you. They love the version of you that serves them. Boundaries reveal that. They always do. And the right people, they don't resent boundaries. They respect them. If the family dinner was the explosion, the months that followed were the debris field. Small, scattered consequences, some sharp enough to cut, others soft reminders of what I'd survived. But healing isn't dramatic. It's quiet, it's slow, and it doesn't come in a straight line. 2 months later, Jenna and I sat at a small cafe near her new workplace. She stirred her latte absent-mindedly, leg completely healed now, just a faint scar beneath the hem of her jeans. You look good, I told her. She snorted. I look employed. That helps. Her new job paid better, came with a supportive supervisor, and didn't involve her being weaponized as a sympathy prop. She looked lighter, freer. And you? She asked. How's life after the tornado? I smiled at the nickname. Quieter. Well, that's a low bar, she said, smirking. She wasn't wrong. Lucas, on the other hand, was unraveling. Not in flames, just slowly crumbling like something left out in the rain too long. After he got fired, he'd tried applying to new jobs, but couldn't use his last employer for a reference. Word travels fast in industries where people talk. His savings dried up. He moved back in with his parents, not by choice, but necessity. His father made the repayment plan non-negotiable, $400 a month, every month, until the $2,400 was paid back. He'd only managed $600 so far. He had no car of his own anymore. The payments had fallen behind. His parents refused to bail him out. His mother cut off the support she used to give him. Phone bills, spare grocery money, the occasional tank of gas. She told Jenna she felt used, like she'd been paying for the privilege of being lied to. Family dinners became awkward rituals where Lucas either sat in stony silence or picked at his food like it had personally offended him. He acts like we betrayed him, Jenna told me once. Victimhood clung to him like a second skin. Self-reflection did not. Her mom tried to get him into therapy. He went once, claimed afterward that the therapist took everyone else's side. Some people don't want help. They want absolution without accountability. As for his friends, most drifted away once Jenna and her parents sent them the truth. Ring footage, Venmo screenshots, timelines, everything. The receipts silenced even the loudest critics. One friend called me personally. I feel so stupid, she admitted. I sent him $100. He told us he was basically living at Jenna's. He visited 8 times total, I said gently. Don't blame yourself. He's convincing when he wants to be. A pause. You dodged a bullet, she said. I knew that now, but at the time, it didn't feel like dodging. It felt like losing something I'd planned a future around. Meanwhile, my own life started stitching itself back together. Work stabilized. The HR file on Lucas was thick enough to act as insulation. He couldn't hurt me there anymore. I took a break from dating. Not a vow, not a dramatic announcement. Just rest. I learned to enjoy silence again, the kind that didn't vibrate with tension or fear. I played guitar more, read books that weren't about self-help or conflict resolution, started jogging by the river at sunset. My therapist helped me see a pattern I'd ignored for years. How easily I over-accommodated, how desperately I wanted to be the ballast in relationships that didn't deserve my steadiness. You patched other people's holes instead of protecting your own boat, she said once. That line stayed with me. Then, somewhere between spring cleaning and buying a new set of dish towels, I met someone new. Nothing cinematic, nothing explosive. Just a man named Daniel, soft-spoken, emotionally literate, steady in a way that felt like home instead of obligation. The first time we made plans to meet up, he texted, Hey, long day at work. Do you have the emotional energy to hang out tonight? Totally okay if not. I stared at the message for a full minute. It felt like a message from another universe. We're taking it slow. Very slow. Not because I'm scared, but because I finally know what I want and what I don't. The last time I heard anything about Lucas, it was from Jenna. He's still saying none of this was his fault, but he's calmer. Maybe the fire went out. I hope so. But even if it hasn't, that's not my battle anymore. I'm not his ballast. I'm not his scapegoat. I'm not the shadow version of myself he preferred. Small, compliant, easy to blame. I'm me. And for the first time in a long time, that feels like enough. If I learned anything from all of this, it's this. Some people will burn everything down rather than admit they were wrong. Some people will volunteer you for suffering they have no intention of sharing. Some people don't love you, they love what you do for them. And when those people lose their minds at your boundaries, let them. It's not your job to shrink so someone else feels bigger. The right people won't ask you to. The right people will hear no and not treat it like betrayal. The right people will love you without a schedule, without conditions, without needing to rewrite reality to make themselves feel heroic. The right people stay because they choose to, not because they can guilt or corner you into it. And the wrong people? They reveal themselves the moment you stop humming quietly in the background. Finally,